Yo, what's going on YouTube? By the way, I am burnt. My face is red. This is not a filter. I just came back from vacation for 2 days, whatever. Shout out to my boy. It was his birthday, 22. Anyway, this video is gonna be why I feel that AOC, Ashes of Creation, is going to be successful. By the way, if you don't know what Ashes of Creation is, it is a upcoming future MMO game that looks pretty damn promising. I don't want to say it's going to be the best out there, but it's got potential to be one of the best MMOs. And there's going to be 3 topics that I'm going to be covering quickly. I don't want to make it a long video, but the 3 topics are going to be funding, vision, and MMO experience. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a sec. But the first one is funding, right? So the lead creative developer, Steven, it's a real nice guy, super transparent. He kind of has the vision for the game. He's funding the whole thing himself, and he is a OG neckbeard. Now, I don't mean that in not an insult. I'm not bashing him. Actually, kind of a good thing. I'm actually kind of giving him props, right? But first, the funding. So it's recorded that he retired, or as he said, he retired around 29 or at 29, and it's legit. Some people were, you can find it on the internet, but some people were skeptical on like, oh well, is he really funding the game? Did he really put 30 million? Apparently, he's put 30 million into the game. I mean, he's talked about it a couple times. If you look up his name or just Steven, lead developer, you'll see his name. You look at his history. Yeah, the guy, I can understand why he retired at 29. So he is funding the whole thing himself so far as we speak, right? And that's key. That is so important in today's world. Or, well, really almost anything, but we're going to talk about video games, and that's the focus, right? When it comes to production for a product, for a video game, right? Obviously, there's got to be funding there, right? Someone's got to pay the devs. Someone's got to keep the lights on in the building. No Man's Sky is a perfect example of something that potentially could have been amazing on day one, but in actuality got screwed, got pushed out, got rushed, and then it takes damn near like 1 to 2 years, 3 years to get the game actually up and running, up to speed, and then content's being pushed, right? What happened with No Man's Sky was, I think it was either Sony or Microsoft, one of the two. I think it was Sony though. They said, hey, we'll fund your project. You have a great idea. Here's the catch. We want it next year so we can do our, like, when they showcase all the, like, new games that are coming out and shit, like, every year, they wanted to showcase No Man's Sky. It would have been like the event opener. The company needing the money, but they also knew, well, 1 to 2 years, however long it was, isn't going to be enough to finish the project. But they took the money anyway because they needed it. And then obviously we all know how No Man's Sky was for like the first 6 months. It was dog shit, right? And I mean, let's be honest. Now the game's did a complete 180, but except instead of going backwards, they're actually going forward now. And the game's amazing. It's fun. But that's why it's so important that Steven is funding the game solely, all out of his pocket, right? And that's, listen, at the end of the day, 30 million is a lot of money, right? Like, I think we can all agree with that. So for someone to put $30 million into their game, that shows confidence, okay? That shows confidence. I don't care if you have $100 million in the bank, $40 million in the bank, $30 million, to any of that, that's a chunk of money, right? Just to finish off this whole little segment of the funding part, it's just nice because at the end of the day, you are not influenced by third-party investors funding anything. You handle all the paper. You handle all the business. You handle basically, obviously everything. You're funding it. The game can get released tomorrow, or the game can get released in 5 years. Who cares? You're the one funding it. Next is the vision. Now, this kind of ties in with the MMO experience, the OG neckbeard, but the vision that he has, it's there. If you haven't seen the dev updates, if you haven't seen like the Summit or the Tim the Tatman or the Asmongold interviews or any of his Q&As that he usually does at the end of his live streams, which I believe they do a couple times a month or once a month on Twitch, but definitely follow if you're interested. This man clearly seems like he knows what he wants, right? I'm not going to say that he knows exactly what he's doing, because he even mentioned himself, obviously coming from a gamer to lead dev, you know, obviously there's things in the industry that you don't know about, that someone has to teach you, blah, 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 whatever. But what he did was he kind of like handpicked some of like the best people from different companies to kind of make his like alpha team, right? His starter team. First off, the game's been in development for 2 to 3 years, and from what we're seeing, it looks amazing. It's really coming along. It's in Unreal Engine, which is fantastic. I personally love Unreal Engine. Always have. Even when I used to play Unreal and Unreal Tournament. Man, if you guys even know what the hell I'm talking about, I might be an old head. I might be 24, but I sound like an old head when I bring up titles like that. But Unreal Engine, I've always loved it, and it looks great too. So that was a good choice. They went with Unreal. That was a great choice. But you can make a game look good, but are the concepts there? Is is the game going to be empty? I mean, you can have a game look good, but if there's nothing to do, or if there's no depth, then essentially you're just wasting your time and it's pointless, and you don't feel like there's really any point playing because there's no accomplishment. There's nothing you're going to get out of it. And I'll tell you what Steven's doing is very smart, just like what Destiny did. When I played Destiny 1 for about an hour, right off the bat, within like the first 15 minutes, I'm not even lying, I was able to pick out like features that were implemented in Destiny that I recognized from other successful first-person shooters. Kind of had like a Borderlands feel to it, a little bit of Halo feel to it, a lot of Halo feel to it. It was something, I think, even at one point, I think I even mentioned Left 4 Dead or something. Like, Destiny literally looks like you just took the best aspect from every successful first-person shooter and just slapped it together and said, Destiny. Like, literally, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what Steven's doing. He's taking these ideas, along with his own ideas, of course, and he's kind of like compiling them together. Fantastic idea. I know people at the end of the day, they're going to bitch, they're going to complain, like, oh, you're stealing an idea, da, da. What great product didn't borrow ideas? You're not stealing ideas. Now, if you jump like Halo, melee like Halo, kind of sound like Halo, well, then it's probably Halo, But you're able to borrow ideas and then turn them around or tweak them a little bit to make it new and flavorful. That's basically what he's doing. When I said that Steven is kind of like an OG neckbeard, that's not to insult him. It's kind of like props. It's kind of a good thing. Think about it. You have someone that's dedicated 15 to 20 years of almost strictly MMO experience, right? So you could say he's a hardcore gamer. He mentioned that he was like a lead guild member. I think it was in Lineage. I could be wrong, but it had something like 1,400 members or like some crazy, like in the thousands digits, right? If you ask me, that's kind of successful. I don't think I have to explain too much, or I don't have to go too much in depth with that. I give him props. So you have a gamer who knows what worked and kind of didn't work from previous MMOs. He knows what he wants and what the community most likely wants, because usually he mentioned in those previous games, the game can be great, and then the company gets greedy. They implement bullshit that either ruins the economy or the leveling experience, that satisfaction of like that the journey and everything. The company implements some bullshit changes, some something in the gift shop, like Guild Wars has it, level from 1 to 80, $10, $15, whatever the hell whatever it's cost. That's not kind of good, because you got new players that maybe don't want to level and they get sick of it. And they're like, oh yeah, 80, and then they have no idea what they're doing. Ruin the experience for vets or people that just got there and they already know what they're doing, but now they're stuck with teammates that are clueless and never even played an MMO, but they're 80. Anyway, usually the previous companies or the games that he's played that he enjoyed kind of killed their vision or what they had going, because they got greedy. So again, he's kind of doing like what Destiny did. He's trying to build a product that casual players or new players get involved, kind of like what Guild Wars 2 did, where it's like the like live events or whatever, like the rings, where there's really like no start and end, kind of, so to speak. You kind of just walk into the area and the amount of effort that you put into that quest or that event dictates how much XP and currency you get out of it, right? Genius idea. Genius. But, you know, with him being a neckbeard and being I wouldn't say a know-it-all, but like a dedicated MMO gamer, you could be an OG neckbeard to some extent. What game have you dedicated a couple years, a lot of years, or hell, even 6 months to? And I'm talking grind, like I'm talking dedicated, and you're a hardcore player, not just like a casual 6 hours a day, but I don't really try to get better. I just play to have fun. No, I'm talking like actually you became a hardcore player. You realize what works and what doesn't work, right? And you start to realize, you know, the flaws, or as you see the game, whatever game you're playing, advance, you could be like, oh, this update was great. Oh, why did, or it's the complete opposite. Yo, why did they do this? They just killed the game. They just ruined it. They killed it for me, right? I'm sure we've all been there. At least most of us. I know I have. So, again, being that hardcore player perspective, he knows kind of how to cater to casuals and hardcore dedicated players. And there is no reason why, and I forget what interview or whatever he said this. I think he said it multiple times. There's no reason why a casual player who only plays 2 to 3 hours on the weekend within a month should have what a hardcore dedicated player has, that they've been grinding 6 hours a day for a month straight had. Obviously, the dedicated player is going to have more stuff to show off, more stuff to showcase, and just overall better shit, right? So Steven understands that you can't just always cater to the casuals. And being a casual player, there's nothing wrong with that. There's not everyone can game 6 to 8 hours a day. Hell, there's some people that can't even game on the weekdays, but let alone even pretty much game on the weekends. You know what I mean? But you can't focus the whole game around casual players, because most likely those casual players are going to be here today, and either they're going to be gone tomorrow, or they're going to be gone in a week or a month or maybe 2 months, whatever. The vets, the hardcore dedicated players, are the ones that are going to create that atmosphere for future players. They're the ones that are here for the long ride. I think he understands this too. You don't even want to dedicate the whole game to that. There's got to be some compromise, right? You can't just make a game that is extremely in depth, extremely hardcore, blah 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 blah. I mean, you can. I mean, look at Dark Souls. But it's gonna scare new players away, right? You got to have some type of compromise there. I know the big issue that people say, like kind of like what New World was going through. Do you do a full PvP world, or do you do PvE and focus only on PvE, or do you do like, okay, the whole world's PvE, but there's sections of the map that are PvP, right? It depends on how you go about it. But the point is, there's always got to be some type of compromise. You can't scare away the new players, but you also don't want people that could dedicate more time to the game. You don't want them to leave because the game has no depth. The reason why I say Steven, it's a good thing he's an OG neckbeard, is because he has the experience. He's dealt with it. He understands, again, what works and what doesn't work. And he also is going to implement some of his ideas to make things not really rinse and repeat, which is great. I mean, he's doing all the funding. The dude's got the vision of the game, what he wants. And honestly, right now, again, if you haven't seen the videos of the dev updates, they do a video at the end of every month showcasing, you know, what they're working on, concept art, how it's combat looking, dungeons. Very transparent, and I love that. Trust me, I'm not contagious. How many times, real quick, how many times have you seen a game that has been promised and it's been so hyped up and this, that, and the third, and then alpha comes? And if anyone knows, I think alpha is like the last test stage, or it's beta. I think it's beta, actually. That's usually within a couple months. And how many times have we seen a game that looks really good because they do an animation trailer? It's not even real gameplay. It's all cinematic. The game looks good and it's promised, and then it's released, just sucks. Because we all know it doesn't matter if the game runs great in a week. It doesn't matter if it runs great in a month. What matters is how does the game function on day one, and then it's extremely important, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. No game is perfect. But if it's 90% polished on day one, and then within the month it's 95% polished, that's awesome. You don't want a game to be 30% polished, and then in a month, now it's 90% polished, right? Because you just already lost a chunk of your players and potential future players. I don't even got to talk about media coverage. I don't got to talk about all the bad reviews and just, word of mouth. That can turn a potential customer away. Look at Fallout 76. I don't even got to explain that. I think Steven, I'm not going to say Ashes of Creation. I think it's on for sure a road to success. What Steven said is he will release the game when he feels that it's polished enough. And by the way, alpha, beta testing, all that shit, no NDA. Steven said over and over and over, if you think Ashes of Creation is a game for you or could be a game for you and you get interested in it, talk about it. Basically what I'm doing in this video, right? I came home from vacation. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a quick video real quick and just, try to reach out to whoever I reach. But just spread the word, go to their Discord, follow them on Twitch, join in on the Q&As, Twitter, all that stuff. They love it. They love the player feedback. There's a couple companies that are afraid to get player feedback. They'll cherry pick who they like and what they said, like, oh, this game sucks, this game sucks, this game sucks. Hey man, this game's really good. This is a little annoying, but it's fantastic game so far. Oh, I love your comment. You know what I mean? Like they cherry pick certain shit and, all that stuff. Intrepid, I think the company, they love word of mouth. They want people to talk about it, engage, because that's what matters, the community, engaging and, whatever. And to be honest, I think that pretty much just wraps up this video. But yeah, guys, Ashes of Creation, those are just my thoughts on why I think Ashes of Creation is on a successful path right now. And I think if they keep doing what they're doing, it will for sure be successful. If they are able to deliver even 3/4 of what they're promising, it is already going to be out of the ballpark. So thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Rare6 and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.